Welcome back to the Jeremiah Show. We are listening right now to my special guest, Allan D. Rich. Uh, Elite Adams, I just had to hear your voice. If you missed the first segment, definitely go back and check that out. Allan tells a good story about this writing this song. And we were talking about your special skill, I guess. I hope that doesn't generalize it too much. That you not only you're great emotional, you capture emotions very well. A lot of them based on experiences that you go through. Allan, welcome back, by the way. Uh, but you
You.
also um, you put a hook, you put some sort of a twist or a hook on that. Do you think did that come naturally, or is that something consciously that you thought of as a songwriter that you wanted to try to accomplish with all with your music and your
I
lyrics?
don't think I'm crafty. I think I think there's a difference between being a singer and an artist. You can be a really good singer, but an artist is a whole different thing. And I don't think that I'm being very honest when I say I'm not one of the greats, but I've had a couple of moments of greatness. Do you know what I mean? I
Hmm.
I'm not Burt Bacharach and Hal David, who I love and worship. There are other Cynthia, Barry Mann and Cynthia Weil, Carole King, Ashford and Simpson. I don't think I'm one of those, but I think that I've been fortunate enough to have a couple of great moments.
Would you say, let me put it a different way. You're a poet, really, and you're a romantic, I would say. The way that you look at the world and walk through it. Would you say that if you were a what poet would you, I guess, compare yourself to? Like, were you born in the right age? I think you were, because you really put out music that kind of defines everybody's love life over the years. I know, for instance, your first hit song was Natalie Cole's ballad, "I Live for Your Love." Now, I think of that at proms. I think of that at dances. I think of that when you're in the car, and it comes on and it's a rainy day and you get lonely, like the music, you'll be in the grocery store, you'll be listening to soft uh, ballads and music and those the songs that you wrote are poetry to modern day love. Um, and I think
And
everybody
yet,
can relate to them in some way.
I was gonna say, and yet, today, the 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 day of we came along when great ballads and great melodies were on the radio. And I'm not saying I don't get me wrong, there's some great songs on the radio, but there's not a lot of melodic songs on the radio anymore. There's not an R&B station for Patti LaBelle and Stephanie Mills and Regina Bell and Mickey Howard, all these great R&B singers to that you could hear, everything's morphed I would say my whole career changed when hip hop and rap came in, which and they've been prevalent for a very long time. But the the day of a and every once in a while one sneaks through. Um, but but I will say that these days, what I do, I would have to really work with some younger writers and try to modify it and modernize it in order for it to say what I need to say, but also perhaps get it played on the radio.
Hmm, it's interesting. Um, do you find do you find that artists are looking for that for that genuine Allan
That
D.
is,
Rich lyric,
look,
Judd
the whole music
Friedman?
industry has changed since when I came into the music industry. When I was in the music industry, and I still am, but when I was having my hits and I was having my people record my songs, there was a physical album. It was vinyl. And if you had 10 songs on that record, everybody got paid and sold a million copies. It'd be $100,000 at 10 cents each. It'd be $100,000 to split between each of the 10 writers. Now, of course, there's two songwriters, two publishers. You have to pay taxes, so it's not like you're not going to go buy a mansion in Bel Air, but everybody got paid. Today is much more of a singles market where a single comes out, you know, and all the other songs that may be on the project, they generate very little income. And so it's very different, and you can't just pitch songs to artists anymore. The artists have producers who they work with. Those producers have writers that they work with. They have writing camps for certain people to sit down when they're writing for songs. So the days of really pitching a song, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it's far and few between. So I really don't know how to navigate. That's why I probably navigated into, and I honestly can tell you, I don't know how to navigate even to be a producer. How I got to be a producer for Viva Verde is a miracle that you would never believe in your wildest dreams. That's what I'm saying. My life is full of those moments that if I told you, I'll tell you a crazy story. You know that, or maybe you don't know. I came to Los Angeles in 1980 from New York. I had been a headline and a co-headliner as a singer-songwriter in the clubs in New York. And I had gotten to the point where I was, people knew who I was. I was opening for legendary Barbara Cook. I opened for Whitney Houston's mother, Cissy Houston. And then I headlined myself. And at that time, I did a concert at Reno Sweeney's, and it was packed to the gills, and all the record labels, they had heard of me and they came to see me. And I had a voice like Art Garfunkel, a very high ethereal voice. And people were swinging from the chandeliers. They were going so crazy. I couldn't even walk through to get to the mic. They had to walk me through like a superstar. My twin brother always said, that day I thought you were going to be a star, but it didn't happen. I didn't get signed. And I was so brokenhearted that I said, I'm getting the hell out of town. I've done everything I can in New York. I'm going to move to LA. I'm not going to sing. I'm just going to focus on being a songwriter. And so I came to Los Angeles. I got a job at the Source restaurant, which was where Annie Hall was filmed on Sweetser and Sunset, because I lived down the street. And I had a weekend job selling shoes on Venice Beach. And my friend, Robert, who was also a songwriter, his girlfriend was Australian. And they were Australian, gorgeous Capezio type shoes that the dancers and the musicians would wear, in pinks and oranges and greens and soft Australian leather. And I had a knack for selling them because I love them. When I love something, I can sell something. Anyway, I would sell 50 pair on a weekend. And this was 1981, 1982, when things sold for $2 and $3 on Venice Beach. And these shoes were $52 a pair, and I could sell 50 pair on a weekend. My boss would be, how do you do that? Anyway, we had a very big music clientele because of the bright colors, shoes, and the soft Capezios. And my boss, who was my friend, told me that there was this one record producer who had bought 10 pair of shoes, and if he ever came by to buy another pair of shoes and I was there, he would introduce me. Well, sure enough, the guy came by, and he changed my life that day. 7 months later, I had 3 gold and platinum records, and I never had to work at anything else for the rest of my life but being a songwriter. That's what I'm saying. Great. And I
Yeah, wow.
I intervened because what happened was he called me up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I had sent him a cassette. At the time it was cassette, so I handed him a cassette. I don't really remember, but he called me up woke me out of a dead sleep and I said, who is this? He said, this is Howie Rice, and I really like your songs. Now, initially, as I tell the story, because it's true, initially, I didn't say this, but initially I said, couldn't you like my songs at 9 a.m. instead of 3 a.m.? But I didn't say that. I just was so happy someone liked my songs, and he said, we should get together and write sometime together. Now, here's where I intervened. I went to bed very, very happy because someone liked my songs. And most of the time it's rejection or, wait a little while longer, you're still growing, but he liked my songs. And so I decided I tried to call him back several times to get together with him. I could never get him on the phone. He never answered. So this is where I helped the situation. Because I've been in a lot of I Love Lucy situations, because that's what I've done to try to make lemonade out of lemons.
Yeah.
So I said, as a last ditch attempt, I'm going to set my alarm for 3 o'clock in the morning. If he can call me at 3 o'clock, I'm going to set my alarm. If I wake him up, if I piss him off, so be it. But that's the only way and if not, I'll just have to let it go. Set the alarm, got up was in my PJs, turned the light on. I was shaking when I called him at 3 o'clock, and I got the guy on the phone. little did I know that he worked in the middle of the night.
Oh, wow.
And so I somehow, and I knew that this might be the
You
only,
took a chance on that one because you could have really made him angry. Most people would
yes,
be angry.
but but I couldn't get through any other way, and I didn't want to let it drop. And so, and I also knew that that might be the only time I get him at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I somehow bamboozled my way to come over that night. And I got out of my PJs at 3 o'clock in the morning. And for the next 6, 7 months, I went to his house in the middle of the night, several days a week. And I wrote 2 songs on Patti LaBelle's Winter and You record, her million-selling record. The next, he was told me he was working with Gladys Knight. The next thing he said, "Do I have a lyric?" I said, "I do." And next thing I know, I'm in the recording studio with Gladys Knight and the Pips. And they had a #1 R&B song
Wow.
with my song. And then he told me that he might be working with Barry Manilow, and Barry Manilow was my idol. And he said if he does work with Barry, he thinks I'm the perfect collaborator. I never gave it thought because I was still a shoe salesman and I was still a waiter. And he called me up and said, get dressed and get over here in 20 minutes. We're going to Barry Manilow's house. And the next thing you know, this songwriter who was, hopeful songwriter who was a shoe salesman and a waiter writes 3 songs with Barry Manilow for his Manilow record on RCA. And it changed my life. And so that was I have some great stories to tell you about my Barry Manilow experiences, but I love that man that he took a chance on me when he knew that I was working part-time jobs, but I came recommended and he took a chance on me, and Howie Rice took a chance on me, and it worked out for all of us because I've never had to do anything else other since 1982.
That's amazing. It doesn't it just should tell you, especially for the people out there listening who are hanging on your every word that want to be Allan D. Rich and want a career like you have and don't know where to go. It just shows that it's going to come if you've got talent and you've got drive and ambition. Um, what needs to happen to you will happen to you. What should happen will
Well,
come
I
your
will be,
way, and it's not going to be always the same formula.
never,
So just be open and drive, right? So, uh, um,
I
I
mentor music students at Musicians Institute. In fact, I mentor them from 3 to 5 today, because I love giving back and I love the young kids and I love I love to be light a fire under them and inspire them. But I always tell them, no matter where you are, is an opportunity for some magic to happen.
yeah,
Whether in the grocery store,
so true.
when you're in the grocery store and all of a sudden you see somebody, or I overhear conversations. My friends get mad at me when I'm in Cantor's or I'm at a restaurant and I hear 2 songwriters talking. I say, wait, shh, I want to hear what they're saying. And then I end up going, oh my God, I heard you. I'm sorry, I wasn't really, trying to listen to your conversation, but I heard you mention da 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 da. Well, I work with da da da. And, I generally try, because you just never know where it's going to happen.
Hmm. Well, that's a perfect way to end this before we go to break here, with that thought, because we've started the segment and you were talking about how you had started out and how the music industry has changed and it's continuing to evolve differently. And you're looking right now at new opportunities and where do you fit in and how do you reinvent yourself or continue to be creative in the industry. And that just is I think, a metaphor almost for it's gonna happen, Alan. It's always happened for you the way it should happen, and your best is yet to come, I'm sure.
I
Uh,
hope so. I would love that to be true. And I try to believe that, but because I would have never expected any of the things that have happened to happen to me. So I'm going to take your words positive way, and maybe something that I don't even.
well,
uh,
and I think our friendship that is developing uh, is a perfect example of what you said, like where you never know where you're going to meet somebody and just spark ideas and create a friendship and
And
it's
listen, the minute I
proof.
met you, and we talked, I felt we had a real connection, and I genuinely liked you. And when you said, let's do this, the Jeremiah show, I said, I knew that I wanted to do it because I knew,
Like, who are you?
and I feel like even just talking to you today, I feel like I have a new friend that is you're really just a terrific person. I told you, I feel like you're like a therapist. You're calm, you're easygoing. that's why I feel free to just open up and just tell you everything.
You're so nice.
Don't send me a
And
bill.
just so everybody knows, I didn't even pay him for that.
And, and, and I don't have to pay a bill today either with that.
No, and I'm not going to charge you, so it's a perfect friendship. All right, so we're going to go. This is a big hit, "Run to You" by Whitney Houston. We're going to break with that. Again, Alan, my special guest today, Alan D. Rich, he spoke about this in the first segment. So if you're just tuning in at all in your car or wherever you're at, definitely check it out on the podcast. We're going to come back in with NSYNC's "Thinking of You." I drive myself crazy. Let me tell you before we go to break, Alan is a co or an executive producer on a new documentary, and I want to tell you a little bit about it. Viva Verde is an intimate glimpse into the lives of the celebrated opera singers and musicians currently living out their third act while mentoring international music students who live among them at Milan's unique retirement home, Casa Verde, built by Giuseppe Verdi in 1896. Through one-on-one interviews and archival footage, Viva Verde follows the lives of these legendary masters and shines a spotlight on Verdi's legacy as we hear their personal and professional stories filled with music, magic, and passion, and learn why Verdi called this remarkable home his best work. Yvonne Russo, director, Christine Lamont, producer, and executive producer Allan D. Rich. Check it out. When will that be out, Alan? Do you know?
I think it's going to the festivals now. I'm hoping that we land something soon. And I will let you know when I know something.
Okay, great. Yeah, we'll keep in touch on that. I'd love to even follow up and maybe do a special on that film. It's just really, I watched the trailer, which you can find on Vimeo. It's really heartwarming and it looks fun and funny and beautiful. So check it out. Okay, here we go. Whitney Houston, "Run to You." We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.